Okay, hopefully this will be short and sweet. We only have a couple slides to go through on this. Now we are talking about meiosis. I know this is confusing. You're going to mix up the words mitosis and meiosis. Meiosis is only for two types of cells. They are the sperm cells and the egg cells, which is different from mitosis, which is all your other cells in your body. This is a review of mitosis. We start off with prophase. When our chromosomes condense into those X shapes, they move into the middle. After that, they are separated in anaphase, kind of looks like an A, and then we end up with our two daughter cells in telophase. Meiosis does something similar, except it does it twice. As you can see here, we start off in prophase. Sorry, I don't know if my pointer was showing up. Start off in prophase, where our nuclear membrane is breaking down. You can see that dotted line. Our chromosomes are starting to form into those X shapes. What's different here is that we have two chromosomes, one from mom and one from dad, that are lining up next to each other. They are very similar, and during that time they actually exchange genetic information. You can see there's a little bit of the red one in the blue one and a little bit of the blue in the red one. That is how we end up with diversity, so that you don't look exactly like your mom or exactly like your dad. You have pieces of both of them. So they're lined up in the middle, they separate, and then we end up with two cells. They do that whole process over again right here, and we end up with 4 different cells, genetically unique. If you look at these, you have a red and a blue, and you have a blue and a red, 2 different cells. Then you have these two in the middle, where you have one with the red with a little blue in it, and this one has a blue with a little red in it. So they're all different. This is an overview in mitosis. We start off with one cell with 46 chromosomes. That's how you know this is a human cell. We end up with 2 identical cells that look exactly like the first one. We are essentially cloning that cell. In meiosis, it's a little different. We divide twice, as you can see right here. We divide once to get these 2, and then we divide again to get these 4. All 4 of these are completely different, but notice here we start with 46 and we end up with 23 at the end. These are sperm and egg cells. They are called gametes. Okay, so chromosomes are located in the nucleus. The number of the chromosomes depends on the species. Genes are located on these chromosomes, and genes control the traits. So you've heard about genes before, hopefully, I'm assuming. And all genes are just little segments of DNA. DNA is a long strand, and the genes are just little pieces of it that you can pull out, and they control specific traits. As you can see in this picture here, chimpanzees, 48 chromosomes. We're very, very similar to chimpanzees. We have 46. Potatoes also have 48. Not really sure why that's so similar there. Chickens have 78, frogs have 26, and peas have 14. That's just a little chart to show you kind of the differences between some of the species that we talk about. This will lead us into talking about genotypes and phenotypes in our genetics unit that's coming up right after this. Okay, so meiosis makes gametes. These are those sex cells. I understand this is a little uncomfortable to talk about, but this is science class and we talk about uncomfortable things in here. These are our sex cells. We produce 4 genetically different cells. This is called reduction. If you notice in mitosis, we start with 46, we end with 2 cells that have 46. In meiosis, we start with 46, but we end with 4 cells that have 23. So we reduce the amount. These are the steps of meiosis. I do not expect you to write this down, and I do not expect you to remember it. I just want you to see that this looks very similar to mitosis, in that we have prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. We go through PMAT, to get 2 cells, then we go through it all over again to get 4 cells. When you learn about this in high school, you guys will go into details of this, and you will have to learn more about PMAT in meiosis, which is just PMAT 1 and PMAT 2. They make it easy on you. Okay, so interphase is the same as mitosis. We have our ramen over here, all squiggly. The DNA gets replicated so that we can divide it, and the cell grows, just performing its everyday function. Do not write this down. Again, I'm just showing you the phases. The PMAT that we go through the first time to get the 2 cells at the end. And hang on one second. And this is meiosis 2, when we have those 2 cells from that first picture, and they divide to get our 4 cells in the end. Now, during prophase 1, there is something special that happens, and you can see it right here if you look closely, called crossing over. And what I want you to know about crossing over is that it happens during meiosis. Don't see this during mitosis. It's special. The chromosomes, the one you have from dad and the one from mom, connect, and they actually switch genetic information. Little segments of DNA, the genes, some of the orange will go onto the red, and some of the red will go onto the orange. This is what allows us to get 4 different cells in the end. If you notice right here, this is going to go into one, this is going to go into one, another one, and another one. They are all completely different from each other. And there's our meiosis 2 again. Okay, so this is what could go wrong if meiosis 2 or meiosis doesn't happen correctly. What I want you to get from this is what is in this box. Don't worry too much about the picture. Please do not draw the picture. This is just showing you how this could occur. And this is trisomy 21 or Down syndrome, which you have heard of before. This is how Down syndrome occurs, is that you can see right here, everybody's divided correctly. And then down here, this guy splits in half. This one splits in half. But right here, when this was supposed to split in half and go into 2 cells, notice there's one with 2 and there's one with 0. This is not supposed to happen. This little guy right here should be over in this cell right here so that it could combine with something else. But what happens is this egg from mom and this sperm from dad will connect, and you have 3 of that chromosome. This is just chromosome number 21. Remember, you have 23 pairs in your body, in your cells. This happens at the 21st chromosome specifically, that you end up with 3 and creates Down syndrome, which is a decreased mental capacity, decreased physical growth, and potentially a shorter life. Okay, this is the big slide. This is the big kahuna. This is what I want you to get from this. This is what I need you to know about mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis is asexual reproduction. There's not 2 individuals involved. There's just one. This cell just clones itself. It makes something from itself. Versus in meiosis, it's sexual reproduction. There are 2 individuals involved, a sperm and an egg. The results of mitosis and meiosis: in mitosis, we get 2 identical cells. The cell just cloned itself, 46 and 46, and this is important for growth and repair. This is different from meiosis, when we get 4 totally genetically different cells, and what we're concerned with here is offspring, making babies, so that we can pass on our genetic information and our species will survive. That's our last slide. I hope you enjoyed this wonderful show.